From the swamp to the stars, our resident Timbit is back. Little Timmy Seanor has the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Well, it's good to have Tim off the DL list and back in action performing tonight. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, he was saying he had to leave early because, the wife was calling, and he had to go on the DL list last week because his wife bit him. His wife bit him. And now, no, I'm teasing. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, yeah. Doing really well. Doing really well. It's been laugh after laugh around here since Christmas, really. Bringing in the new year I woke up one morning with Elephant Man on one side. Something had got me in a few places, so.
Yeah, you had an awful spider bite or something like that.
Something was going on. I looked like I'd, gone up against Rocky and just lost.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And you're like a $135 soaking wet. So I mean, anything swollen on you is going to show. Not like me, man. I get a spider bite like that. It just looks like I've added another chin underneath.
You absorb it.
Yeah, I absorb it pretty good. But I mean, holy cow. I mean, you're pretty lucky, my friend.
Yeah. I had an allergic reaction to it, so that was the only big deal. But took care of it. But it feels like I haven't seen you since last year.
Know.
It's crazy.
I know. It's been way too long, buddy. Way too long. And we're glad to have you back. How was your New Year's?
It was fun. It was fantastic. All of my neighbors kind of go to town, if you will, on fireworks around here. So it was loud all evening and lots of fun.
Excellent.
So we celebrated it.
Excellent.
Yeah, the right way.
I had my first New Year's in 15 years, childless.
How did that happen?
Friends of ours, their son is my son's age. They're best friends. Their boy had come over the night before. And so our boy went over there to play because I had to go for dinner with my boss. And went to one of these really fancy schmancy types of dinners that, comes in little plates, and it comes in there was 7 different courses. So we asked them if they would watch our son for that. And they're like, yeah, no problem. Nice. And then about 10 minutes after we dropped him off, get the phone call. Hey, do you mind if he stays for night? No problem. No problem. So awesome. It was pretty good. We went house hopping. We saw lights on. If our friends' lights were on, we went house hopping. Never really did that before, but that was a lot of fun.
That's so
a lot
cool.
of fun.
That is so...
Yeah, and I lost my. So I decided I was going to trim my beard, and I've been renovating my house, and I forgot how close my trimmer gets, and because I forgot to put on.
I've done that.
My blade protector, that keeps
gone. Yeah. And then you're like, now I gotta match it.
Now I had to match everything, and now I look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's terrible.
Believe it or not, same thing started on my face, and I had to go all the way up here. Now look what happened. Look, I had to make it all even.
I know. That's all right. In about a week, I'll be fine. A week, I'll be fine. Right. Get some definition back. But back to the gym tomorrow after counting the amount of chins I have. Holy cow.
That's the best thing about New Year's Day is the gym's closed. Right? You
not mine. I have a key for it.
Oh, you can get in anytime. Sweet. That's awesome.
It is pretty cool. Man, the round table we just did, we had a great panel for the round table, the year-end round table that really kicked things off with looking back at the year that was, and in ufology especially, because it was the year of the UFO. And, I figured following that up tonight with you, we can have a private, intimate conversation about what we're going to see coming in 2023, the good, the bad, and the head scratchers. So I've been thinking about this all night long since we talked about it, many, many moons ago. And I think it's going to be the year of the UFO again. And this is what I see happening. Okay. And we're going to start off with all these groups because late in the year we learned about this Enigma group that is coming out looking for UFOs and experiences, and they want people to report. We got MUFON doing the same thing. We got Galileo Project still trying to figure out who they are. We got all of these groups, UAPX, and many others that are forming. Do we need any more groups in 2023, Tim?
Well, I think it depends on the source of those groups and their motivation. But the more attention that's brought to this topic, I think the better. Really, there is no bad press, when it comes to this. We need to keep it in the media, quite honestly. And even debunked UFO stories are better than no stories. You know what I mean? So to be completely honest with you, yeah.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. I think the more attention we bring to the subject, the better. And I think everybody can agree to that because we do need to bring this subject more to light in people's everyday lives. There's a number of people, such as ourselves and other people, who are trying to do that on a daily basis. And I think that is healthy. I think that is what's needed. But if all of these groups are looking for the same thing, Tim, which right now it's all nuts and bolts, it's all about the technology, it's all about everything. What purpose does it solve if not for or for purely selfish reasons for these groups? Look, we know there's an unnamed billionaire that is sitting behind the Enigma group. That is, in the UFO world, that has been very well spoken in private conversations. Nobody knows the name. People are speculating. No, it's not Robert Bigelow from Bigelow Aerospace. It's somebody completely different. They've got an open checkbook. We know that MUFON continues to struggle for wherever it wants to go and what it wants to be. The SCU, you could pretty much throw them in the same circle. Okay, you have a Galileo Project, which built up a head of steam in 2023 and then just seemed to go eerily silent, and they're all looking for the same thing. UAPX as well, nuts and bolts, nuts and bolts, nuts and bolts. Are we going to see a time in 2023 where we include the nuts and bolts, but we're also looking at everything else that goes around this subject? Because there is more to it than just people playing physics or mathematicians.
You're absolutely right. And it seems like we have been focused on the nuts and bolts, and myself absolutely guilty of that thing. And I think that naturally the progression starts there. You see something in the sky, or you see something reported on in the sky, and you figure there must be something to it. So you try to figure out what the nuts and the bolts are. And you try to figure out, is it something that we could use? Is it something, interesting, right? And then at some point, you're right, the conversation needs to elevate, and it's starting to. And I do think that this actually will be the topic for 2023, which is actually, if aliens contact humanity, who decides what we do next? Literally, who decides what we do next? I mean, that's a massive question. We haven't asked it yet. There's one think group that I know about in Scotland. A group of scientists have come up with some ideas, but quite realistically, that should be the topic now. Let's all agree that there is something to the nuts and bolts. Let's just say, yes, that's out there. We know that now. The details of that are a little bit irrelevant, because if we can all agree it exists, then we should already be thinking about the next question, which is this one, which is, if they exist, then what do we do next? How do we interact? What should we be putting out there? Should we be continuing to broadcast ourselves out to the universe, giving away our hand, if you will? You know, are they all going to be our, astral brothers and sisters? Are they here for benevolent reasons or not? These are the sorts of
Well,
things we need to elevate to.
I think what we also have to understand too is right now all of these groups, unless they have secret sources within the United States military or government that are giving them pieces of crash retrievals, they have nothing to work with outside of videos and doing the mathematics of the video, because you can do a lot with on a good video. You can gain a lot of information. You can gain speed, you can gain trajectory, you can gain altitude, you could gain, if it drops, how fast does it drop. Okay, there is a lot you can gain with that, but it's all mathematics. There's nothing hands-on that they are doing. And they are also wanting to rely on a lot of anecdotal evidence of reports of people calling in and hopefully capturing something, which is great. But isn't this what MUFON's been doing for 50 years, and they still can't figure out what they are doing? I mean, MUFON, out of anybody, should have been at the heat source of this 5 years ago or 6 years ago now, when the To the Stars Academy came out. But they're
Right.
not.
Right.
So let's move on here. We got 3.5 minutes before we move on here. Who do you see being a big player in 2023 when it comes to UFOs?
Right. Well, I see the big blocker being Avril Haines, right? So we're not going to get anything unless Avril Haines allows us at this point, right? Which is absolutely ridiculous. Now we know the reason that we haven't gotten the report is Avril Haines does not want to release it. So it's this sort of thing that's going to be the topic that we're going to have to deal with. I think that the conversation needs to shift away from waiting for this sort of report from the government. We need to elevate the topic on our own through the media and through the public, through more public organizations. And Dave, I love what you brought up earlier last year, or at the end of last year. I think we need to get on the Public Oversight Committee. Massively important.
Well, we need to get over on the Public Oversight Committee, and we need a watchdog. We need to be able to get people out there, get people who are emotionally involved, no ties to anybody, and we need to be able to put them together in a group where they can figure out what is right and what is wrong. There is nobody being a watchdog out there in this field. Everybody wants to be individualized. And I think we could see that happen. How it happens, I don't know. Would I be willing to be a part of that? Absolutely, I would. Absolutely. Would I help put it together if somebody asked me to? Sure as heck, I would do something if it benefits community. If it benefits, you can always find time. It will take some gracious volunteers, but if it benefits the community, you don't need money. You need passion. And you need people with passion who want to do the right thing, break down the right notes, break down the right speeches, break down the right news and reviews, whether it's from Congress or whether it's from the Pentagon itself. Okay, this is where we need to be able to break things down and really open up the subject. And I hope that happens, Tim. I really do. Am I going to be a leader in it? Probably not. Okay, but would I sure support somebody for the right reasons and the right constitution getting this together? And if they said, hey, Dave, we need help with PR, or we need help getting the message out, or building a media list, I am all there, because I am that passionate about what is needed for this field. Because these good people who listen to this show, Tim, they're tired of being played like a rag doll. They're in an emotional tug of war with the Pentagon on one side and the selfish people on the other side playing them for the information, all in the name of disclosure. Ladies and gentlemen, let us eliminate the word disclosure for 2023. That is the big one. And we'll get to that when we come back, because that's a whole different conversation right there. But I mean, we need to be able to get that information out. How do we do it? Press releases. How do you do it? Going on interviews on shows, whether it's UFO podcasts or maybe a local television show, a news channel picks you up that's covering this story. That's how you do it. It builds small and it would grow. And that's where we need to focus. Tim, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to continue the UFO report, a look towards what may happen in 2023 with our resident UFO guy, Tim Seanor. We call him the Timbit around here. Disclosure. Does it change meaning in 2023? We'll get to that next on Spaced Out Radio. I just got to say hello to a few people here because a bunch came in. Hi, D. Swiger. Hi, Deb from SAC. Who else showed up here late? There was a couple of you there. Sovereign Farts, keep on ripping hard, buddy. Fart hard, my friend. Fart hard. Search and Destroy, how you doing, buddy? Let's see here. I think I got them all now. Super Duke. Yep. Yeah, there we go, Tim. I'm all caught up.
Sweet. So yeah, I donned my sprockets outfit tonight. I'm Dieter, obviously.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see that incident between Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals tonight?
What? No, that's my team.
Oh my God, Damar Hamlin, one of the defensive backs for Buffalo, makes a tackle, and then he jumps up from the tackle, stands up. You see him take 2 steps back, falls right on his back, had a heart attack right on the field.
Oh my God.
And
that must be so traumatic for so many.
They worked on him for 10 minutes on the field. They had to give him perform CPR. He is alive, which is cool. He's in critical condition. NFL has canceled the game for right now, or postponed the game for right now. They'll have to play the game. Right. They'll probably have to play it next week or the week after before the playoffs start.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's a playoff implication game too. And just a horrible scene.
Wow.
Horrible scene. You know, and it's you know, the guy's only 24 years old. And his charity that he started when he was drafted into the NFL and he made the Buffalo Bills, he set up this charity on GoFundMe to try and raise $2,500 to get his Toys for Kids charity going in his neighborhood. That number tonight has jumped over $2 million.
That's fantastic.
$2 million. Yeah. You know, let's just hope that hope he makes it. Let's not get into that stuff, guys. We're not getting into that. So now we got to erase some comments here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what we do here, guys.
Yeah. Boy, the Bills this year, though. I was raised in Rochester, New York, so we only had the Bills games to go to. Buffalo is right next door. Good days.
Yeah.
I was following them the year they went like 4 years in a row and lost.
Hold on a second. YJ, I did not bring that up. I brought up an incident that happened on the football field. We don't need to be getting into COVID talk, shot talk, or anything like that. You guys know I have zero tolerance for it. Zero tolerance. Okay? I brought up an incident that happened during a football game. Nothing to do with the jab. Didn't bring anything up above that. So let's not put words in my mouth. Okay? I get really pissed off with this, guys. Really PO'd, because I don't need my chat room hammered by YouTube. Okay?
Verbal
Sorry.
spanking? No, verbal spanking by Dave.
No, it's not, but
you got to.
Don't sit there and say I brought it up, which explained to me in the last 5 minutes where I said, by the way, this was caused by this.
Right.
Where's my wrenches on this one, guys? This is why I have wrenches.
E.T., phone home, please. Phone call for Mr. E.T. Good stuff. So what else has been going on? How much time we got? We got a little time here. What else you got?
We got 20 seconds. I can't talk to you right now. I got to monitor a chat room.
You're doing. Yeah. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Babysit away, please. I get it.
We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on. We're looking at what is coming in 2023 for UFOs and the entire subject. As it was a busy year in 2022, Tim Seanor, our resident UFO guy, is here with the UFO report. Thank you, my friend, for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Disclosure. This is a big topic. It's been a big topic for decades, but more so over the last couple of years, and especially in 2022, where everybody thought that we were getting closer and closer and closer. Disclosure meaning that we were going to find out that UFOs are real and everything is working perfectly when it comes to what we're doing in learning about this subject, in gaining information. The media is on it. The government politicians are on it. But in the end, Tim, we're only hearing what they want us to tell. So do you see 2023 being the year of continued confirmation of the subject and people starting to use a little bit less of the word disclosure?
I would love to see that. We need more confirmation and less interest in disclosure, because disclosure is always going to be skewed to one polarity or another to sell something to somebody, right? And so I love your point. But, you know, the UFO community that's been around much longer than me, at least, it knows this has been a rug that's been pulled out from under them many, many times. So yes, 2022 and 2021 with the initial UAP report seemed like a real gust of wind in the right direction. But then we're seeing it stomped down by the Navy. No more videos from us. And then we're seeing it stomped down by Avril Haines. You're not going to get a UAP report. And if you do, fingers crossed for something like March, you know. And so the other point I think is important to bring up, that if you're waiting for disclosure, it's probably not going to come from the government. And if you're looking for confirmation, it will probably come from the public. And in that same realm, you're going to get the videos, you're going to get the data behind it, and you're going to get more organizations like SU coming out with confirmation videos and details about the existing military disclosures that there have been in the past.
Well, you know what? I think as people in the UFO community and the public at large start to see that this is becoming a restricted subject once again, Tim, that will affect people's thoughts on this. That will affect what or how they're going to react to what is going on. And if they aren't going to pay attention to what is going on, then I mean, you have to be able to think for yourself. It also proves, as I gain my thought back here for a second, it also proves that we are in the midst of something that is highly debatable. And I'm not saying to be debatable on reality, but debatable as to whether or not we deserve any truth to what is going on, whether it's crash retrievals, whether it's technology gained, whether it's ET contact in its own. And they're not going to tell us. The military has stated they're not going to tell us. Therefore, we're on our own here, Tim. We are on our own.
To an extent, we are. We do get little drips of information, though, and that's the sort of thing that we need to hold out for. It may not come from normal sources, but like you said, you in particular are a media person, and so you can appreciate that the stories that are important need to be carried on by the media and put out, and they can't just be swept under and the topic be controlled by the Wall Street journals out there that want to kind of numb this audience to this topic. But the new documents that were released by the Pentagon that show that NORAD had actually been brought in right after the UAP report was released in 2020 rather, I believe. And so once NORAD was brought in, you start to find out that all sorts of questions were being asked behind closed doors. And so we realize now that even though they may have come out with a statement, and NORAD may have even said something along the lines of, we don't have anything of interest at this point, but understand that they review hundreds and hundreds of videos, and a lot of them are still left with a question mark at the end of it. So that's the sort of report that behind closed doors they're looking into. We know they have the information because we're told through good media and journalistic sources that they are given the information. So if we know that, we can draw the lines ourselves. We don't need anyone to tell us. We don't need anyone to specifically come out and say that these things are happening. But if you listen to the drips and you understand what those conversations would entail and how those conversations must have taken place, then you understand that the information is in fact being passed on. And perhaps the fact that we didn't get a report is irrelevant because we know that they're discussing it. And the fact remains that the fact that Avril Haines has blatantly blocked this report from coming out screams to the fact that there must be something more to it. If there was nothing, this would have been released. They would have been so happy to release those 100 videos explained.
See, and this is where we need the UFO community to come together. If any time it was to come together, and I hate to say this, and beat a dead horse with the watchdog type of group, okay, that's where something like this is needed. All right, let's move on here because we got a bunch of different topics to go. Who's going to be the face for ufology in 2023? Is it Chris Mellon? Is it the politicians? Is it going to be somebody who's a longtime pro of the UFO community? Is it Jeremy Corbell, who's been silent for a while? George Knapp? Does Luis Elizondo come out from the woodshed finally, maybe with a different facial hair look and a sharpened axe? I mean, what do you see happening?
I 100% think it's Gary Nolan that's going to be the 2023 spokesperson, insider, person of knowledge, in the know. He's a member of every organization that's relevant, and he freely speaks on the topic without any consideration of what would be considered stigmatized or possibly hidden by an NDA. I don't know if he even considers them when he talks on podcasts. So to be completely honest, my eyes are on Gary P. Nolan.
I see us getting more and more Chris Mellon. I don't see Chris Mellon doing a lot of interviews, but I see him speaking through his blog about the channels that he is trying to forge within the government community. I don't see any politicians coming on up and really jumping on the bandwagon. I think those days are done, as many of these state senators and Congress people are going to probably being forced to back off due to the fact that the military industrial complex is going to say, hey, remember how you build those M1A1 tank parts or those F-35 engines or the tires for the F-22s? Yeah, we remember too. Would you like us to move those out of your state? Then shut up. Shut up. And I see that happening because that's the pull we're seeing right now. That's the pull. I mean, think about it, man. If I mean, most of our audience is American. You're American. I can't be the only guy from out of town or out of country who notices this. But why aren't you guys a little bit more upset that your military is telling your government the way it's going to go down with UFOs rather than your government telling the military how it's going to go down?
Dude, you should listen to our community because we are outraged. I mean, the UFO community, not me personally, I don't actually understand it. To me, I don't think it's up to them. There's Eisenhower warned us against this, that there wouldn't be that one group would have the military complex, right? The military industrial complex. It is a machine. And, you cannot really find a notch in the armor to throw a wrench in. And we're seeing that distinctly played out by the blocking of that UAP report and the controlling of this topic on the Hill. I mean, the American public doesn't have a lot of control over what the military does. We can respond, but even at the same rate, that's not really heard or of anybody's concern. We can obviously write and call the ODNI and, request that report and, let them know about our outrage about that. But short of that, there's not much individually that we can do here in this country. Now, that being said, I would love to highlight the fact that we should also consider supporting some of the decisions that our military makes. I know that seems counterintuitive to this group and even to hearing myself say it, but there's obviously a massive reason that they've made this decision on the brink of releasing the report and on the brink of quote unquote disclosing this pretty much in a massive way. Now, we still may get a historical report. We don't know. They're looking into 1945 and to now, so we'll see. But I don't know, man. I kind of would love to hear your thoughts at this point. What do you think?
Joe Monk brings up a good point.
Okay.
In the chat room about Elon Musk. Could we see Elon Musk? Because don't forget, he has now stepped into the UFO page here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he came out a couple weeks before Christmas stating that all of a sudden his rockets have been noticing anomalies following them after launch. Okay. And remember what we've told you, every launch since Gemini has been followed. So could we see Elon Musk now getting into the UFO front?
Great point.
Okay, that could be a big one, and a real silent play. I mean, could you imagine the people screaming at NASA if he all of a sudden came out saying anything more? I mean, it's very interesting how NASA has absolutely not responded to Musk saying anything regarding the anomalies that have been following his rockets.
Yeah, he's the guy that writes the NDAs. He doesn't sign NDAs typically, so he can say whatever he wants. Now, again, let's remember who we're talking about. So you may or may not hold a lot of validity in a lot of what he says, but given maybe he has talked to his pilots and his astronauts, and in which case maybe he is on another level of in the know, and let's hope so. And you could be absolutely right, Joe, because that is the kind of pioneer this topic needs. You know, somebody that has nothing to gain or lose by it, and absolutely would be interested in the technology and would be open about that. And I think if, you know, he cracked open a UFO and they had a new iPhone 2000, 5000, whatever it is, he would probably be the first guy to like share it with the public. So, of course, he would do it for a price tag, but at the same rate, I use Starlink and think it's fantastic. So, yeah.
Oh, I see it happening. I think we have to keep a very close eye on that, and we have to see what is going on.
Dude, he
Okay.
sold a flamethrower. He designed and sold a flamethrower on his website. Who does that? It's the coolest guy in the world. I mean, come on.
All right, let's talk about another controversial name here. Luis Elizondo. Midway through 2022, he just disappeared. Said, that's enough. I've done my tour. I've said my speech. I've passed my limits. I'm tired of being absolutely hammered on social media. I'm tired of people making documentaries of me. I'm tired of people criticizing absolutely everything I do, from not being able to wipe my butt properly to talking UFOs. I mean, the poor guy couldn't catch a break in 2022. Do we see him coming out of the woodwork and getting back into the UFO game, or do you think he's done?
I don't think it matters personally. I think he's probably done because he's on to other things. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he came back. I know he has a book to sell at some point. So I don't think it matters though, really. You know what I mean? It was great to have information like that, but at the same rate, it was so hard to decipher a lot of what he said, and those nuggets were good. And a lot of it did come into fruition, but I just, you know, I wish I didn't have to weed through all of the information to get to those nuggets, I guess. So I enjoyed the man. He was a cool guy. I got to talk with him briefly. He seems like a great guy. You know, it'd be the sort of thing like it would be cool to see him back because I kind of miss that guy. But the information itself, I still questioned. Just like when I listened to Gary Nolan talk, I'm like, I like this, but I can't buy into that. Or I love everything he's saying right now. And then he says one thing, I'm like, I know he said that, you know, or whatever. It doesn't matter who it is out there. I don't 100% believe anything that's out there. So I don't think he'll be back anytime soon, though, to answer your question directly.
All right, let's move on. We only got about 3.5 minutes here. 2023, are we going to see videos of people capturing UFOs become just as important, more important, or just as ignored as 2022?
You mean the public
The
source?
public, yeah.
I don't see it getting any more value than it ever has in 2023, unfortunately. We're still, no matter how many videos we produce, the public's information will never be considered as valid as a pilot, for instance, or a trained observer, a police officer, or military personnel. So the public has a pretty bad rap. It's really hard for us to get a video out there that's credible, to get any kind of traction as far as being valid. And it's really hard to produce something with prosumer tools, meaning the cameras that are available to us as prosumers and consumers. So I see us continue to struggle unless we, formalize a group. And again, that's again expensive, but I see us continuing to struggle in the public producing videos.
Yeah, I have that same feeling, unfortunately, that, you know what, people are going to capture some incredible footage this year, things that they have never seen before, and they're going to be put all over the internet, all over social media, and they are just going to be pushed to the wayside because you are who you are.
Yeah.
And you, like me, is an absolute nobody. Absolute nobody. Because we don't have our pilot's wings, whether they're commercial or whether they're military. And that is going to be a very, very difficult process. Okay, let's get to one final topic tonight. By the end of 2023, where do you see we have gained traction in this field?
I would say that Joe Public probably knows what a UAP is now. I think that's, if nothing else, what this community and this topic has succeeded at doing, is putting it in the mouths of everybody. And everyone has to consider it as something real. Now, I hate saying UAP. I know how you feel about that, but it is a word that has really just hit the public. Be it from Jeremy Corbell or whatever that source is for that terminology, it doesn't matter. I think that the public's understanding of that being a reality and that the government may actually consider it something real, I think that is pretty massive on its own.
Well, you know what? I think that the big thing that we're going to see here is I think we're going to have a lot of people jumping off the UAP bandwagon and back on the UFO bandwagon.
Yes,
you know what?
indeed.
I think 2023 shows the public trying to take more control of this subject.
I like
Proper ufologists being more important than ever, and getting the message out is going to become more important. That's what I see happening in 2023, and that's going to be where we fall right into place for our listeners and our viewers on YouTube and Twitch, and I look forward to that. Tim, a great UFO report to kick off the year with you. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you in a couple of nights. And a big thank you to Swamp Dweller as well for another spooky story coming out of the swamp. And, of course, our guest tonight, the spiritual warrior, Bill Bean. Man, did he take us on a nice journey tonight. That was weird. Can't believe I hadn't interviewed him in 8 years. 8 years.
Time flies. It really does.
It was. It really did. But I'm sure glad we had that opportunity to chat with him again. And Tim, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, who's rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Spreaker, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club. And I know I'm missing a couple more, but we're going to round it out on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, make a mistake. We're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.